Hi, I'm Tim Cool, and I'd love to know what you guys think about food plots. You know, the same food plot that the average American like you or I have. Maybe an acre, maybe 2 acres. I truly believe that we've been duped into believing that food plots are anything more than just a neutral form of habitat or deer management. I really don't think that deer are starving anytime soon. I really don't think that a 1 acre food plot really contributes, considering a deer's home range is 2 to 5 plus 100 acres. I really don't think that, a big buck will hone in on a small food plot like you or I have, that we spend so much time and money investing in and babying and nurturing to get it to grow properly. A little bit about myself: I have degree in wildlife forestry and certifications and books on how to plant food plots. I've got tractors, PTO tillers, mowers, sprayers, discs, plot masters, you name it, I've tried it. Different shapes of food plots, everything under the sun, I've tried different mixtures, and still haven't found the one magical way to kill big bucks year after year feeding in my food plot. Now, I'm not talking about big bucks seeking does, and maybe that's your purpose of planting the food plots, but there again, the does would be there regardless of your food plot. It's a very small fraction of their home range, and I believe that we've been, driven by our attraction to perfection. We love the green grass. We think that when we plant this food plot that we've done something, that we reap what we sow, and it just looks great. It makes us feel good. But how much is that really helping, considering that deer spend most of their time in the woods, that grains cover a lot of the cover type of the earth? There's soybean, corn, oats, wheat, you name it. As I said, deer are not starving anytime soon, unless you're in northern parts of the country where snow falls very deep, etc. And there again, speaking of deer that are starving, if you are going to plant a food plot, I suggest focusing on keying in on the months where food is the least available. Focus on January to March. That's when your food plot will be utilized and needed the most. But to plant these food plots like clover, if you go into a goldenrod field or a CRP field and you spread the taller brush, the taller plants off to the side, that's what's underneath. It's loaded with clover. The size of your food plot compared to the size of the ones that you've been advertised to, that you've seen in magazines and on TV, is a small fraction of what it is. These hunters are being transported to and from the stand. They're hunting in enclosed box blinds, in secluded fields, unpressured situations, and it's just simply not realistic for the average hunter like you or I. You or I need to be managing the forest. We need to be adding value to our small properties in the form of planting trees like chestnuts, apples, oaks in the same area that you have your food plots in. So take the food plot out of the picture, plant trees, start a nursery. That will add value to your property, save you time, save you money, have the same effect that your food plots will. Again, managing your timber. A chainsaw is only several $100s, and once you buy it, it's just maintenance: gas, oil, bar oil, a chain, etc. 1 acre of a clear cut has the same forage as a 1 acre food plot. At 2 to 3 years, a 1 acre clear cut has the same forage as your food plot, but the clear cut provides cover in addition to food. Which one is more valuable to you as someone who has a small property? There is no product behind managing your timber. The truth of the matter is, on managing deer, is the timber, the forest, the woods where they spend most of their time. That's the truth about managing whitetail deer. It's not the food plots. It's not the minerals. It's none of that. It's the timber, managing the timber where they spend most of their time. But we have keyed in and we've been marketed to buy in on the least important aspect of managing white-tailed deer, which is food plots. If you look in my books, if you look online, do research, that's the smallest piece of the pie is food plots compared to the, you know, different age stands, water, early successional fields, grains, etc. Food plots are the smallest portion, the smallest piece of the puzzle, but they've become the most advertised, the most talked about, because there's a product behind them. There's no product behind managing your timber. Steel chainsaws, Husqvarna, they're not going to go tell the whole entire country to start managing their timber for white-tailed deer, because it's probably a huge liability. You know, and after living in Iowa, I truly believe that the genetics are here, the big bucks are here. Guys were killing big bucks before the heydays, or during the heydays, several years ago, before food plots were even popular. You know, they say the early 2000s was the heydays in Iowa. You never heard about food plots, did you? You know, you go to places like Kansas, you go to places like Nebraska, you don't really see food plots there. You don't really hear about food plots there because the genetics are there and the age structure is there. And that's the key. Age, genetics, you know, a lot of the Midwest has a shortened gun season, and that's the difference. That's the key. It's not the food plot. The antlers are grown before, their antlers are growing while you're planting your food plot in June and July. So what is your food plot actually doing? What is it? Is it actually worth the time and money, the hundreds and thousands of dollars that you spent? Or is it more valuable to start looking at other options that will actually add value to your hunt, provide the same outcome, and you will actually be able to shoot big bucks in these areas because the deer will be keying in on them more. If a tree is dropping acorns, they know that those acorns and the chestnuts and the apples are only going to be there a certain amount of time. They key in on those areas. And these are a lot easier to hunt than a food source where deer are going to want to stay against the edge of the field. It's hard to get a stand in the right spot so that a big buck can come and go. You know, it's completely unrealistic expectations to be shooting big bucks out of food plots just like you see on TV. And it's a shame that our peers, if you will, that we are supposed to look up to are telling us to just keep doing more and more and more, and making the average bow hunter, the average hunter in America feel like they don't have enough, that they simply can't do enough to get those same results. And let me tell you what, you start going out on hunting trips out of state to Ohio, you know, to the Midwest, wherever, the big bucks are here. You just have to put your time in, and you'll get a big buck. You'll see them, you'll shoot them, and you don't need to have all these fancy things, all this extra stuff that's you know, it's just, it's sad. It's really sad because a lot of people feel like they can't compete with this stuff that they're seeing on television, that they think that they need to do more. But shooting big deer, hunting big deer is a very simple thing. And if you start really talking to people that do it, they follow some really key principles. And I will get into that in another video. But a lot of these big buck hunters laugh. They laugh at the food plot of the average American is spending and wasting his time planting, because they know better. They know it's not going to make the difference. So let me know what you think. Am I crazy?